Hey everybody, Kevin Valdes here again, and yeah, just here going through First Peter with you this week. And so today I'm going to talk to you guys about chapter 1. Now, if you've read chapter 1 already, there is so many incredible nuggets of truth in there. I honestly was struggling because there's a lot of things I wanted to talk to you guys about from chapter 1, but I was thinking, man, like there's just too much that this video would soon go from a 5-minute video to a 45-minute sermon. And so I'm going to do my best to keep it as short as possible. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick out one thing that stood out to me this time as I read chapter 1. And the thing that stood out to me was actually in verse 15, and it says, "But as he," meaning God, "as he who called you is holy, you also be holy in all of your conduct." And in verse 16, "Since it is written, you shall be holy, for I am holy." Oh my gosh. So what does that mean? What does it mean for you, for me, for as a Christian to be holy as God is holy? I mean, that's pretty crazy talk right there. I don't even know where to begin with it. And so, yeah, that stood out to me because I feel like me in the past, when I've read this and when I read a statement or a command, because that's a command, guys. God is telling us in his word, be holy as I am holy. And so I just remember the first time reading that, I was probably a senior in high school or a freshman in college, and I was just thinking, holy cow, how do I be holy, like a holy God? And so that's what I wanted to talk to you guys briefly about. I'm not gonna, like I said, I don't want to get into a long explanation of every single thing I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna try keeping it as simple as possible. But yeah, it's just to, like I said, I just want to talk about one thing in this, and I think this is so important to fully understand. And so, yeah, so be holy as he is holy. So let's talk about that first, right? Because if we don't know how to be holy, if we don't know what it means for God to be holy. And so I want to talk to you guys about the holiness of God. So I remember, for as long as I can remember, whenever I heard the word holy or holiness, I just thought it meant perfect. I thought it meant, oh, God is holy. It's the same thing as saying God is perfect. And that's true. There's truth in that statement, and that's right. But as I get older and learn more about God's word, I begin to realize that it means way more than he's just perfect. So the actual word holy means set apart or set aside. And so God is set aside, but the way I'm going to use it and the way I believe in what it means when we read that God is holy, I believe it means that when you read or hear about the holiness of God, or God is holy, I believe it's saying that God is infinitely valuable, okay, or infinitely unique. God is holy means God is infinitely valuable or infinitely unique. He is so unique. There is no other God like our God, and he is holy. And so holiness isn't just another attribute. It's not like, oh, he's good, he's loving, he's holy. No, but I actually would take a further step back, and I would actually say it's not necessarily just an attribute, but I would go as far to say that all the other attributes point to his holiness. Okay? Because if you really think about it, okay, if God is holy, if he is infinitely valuable, if he's unique, right? If God is a unique God, if there's no other God like our God, then that means he has to be totally unique in all his thinking, in all his ways, in his very being, who he is. He is not just, like I said, holy is not just a characteristic of his, but he is holy. That is his essence. He is holiness, right? And so if our God is the one true living God, and there's no other God like him, then he has to be unique. He has to be infinitely perfect, and he has to be everlasting, right? So unique, perfect, and eternal, right? These three things, have to be really what describe our God as the only true holy God. And so why do I say then that it's not just an attribute, but all the other attributes point to his holiness? This is why I say this, because if you think about it, if God was perfectly loving, right, but he was not perfectly just, then he wouldn't be holy. He wouldn't be unique. He wouldn't be set aside as holy. Because if there's one wrong thing, if there's one thing that's off about God, if any of the attributes, you name it, if one attribute is completely off or not 100% perfect when it comes to God, then God is not holy. He's not unique. He's not perfect. So God has to be perfect in all his other attributes in order for him to be holy. And that's why I say him being holy is not just another attribute. I would say holiness is the umbrella, and all the other characteristics of God fall under this umbrella of holiness. All right, I hope you guys are following along. So, quick summary so far. To say God is holy is to say that he is infinitely valuable and unique, and that all the other attributes point to his holiness, because if one attribute was off or not fully perfect, then he wouldn't be holy. Okay? And so, but here's the beauty of it. He is perfect, and all his characteristics and attributes are perfect, and they are eternal. And just to list off some, right? God is perfectly full of grace and mercy. God is perfectly just. God is perfectly loving. God is limitless in all that he does, in all his ways. God is incomprehensible. God is perfectly in a triune state with his three persons, right? He's in perfect unity with himself. He is self-existent. He is self-sufficient. He is eternal. He is unchanging. He is all-knowing, all-powerful, ever-present. He's full of wisdom. He is always faithful. He is perfectly good and always sovereign, always in control of all things. Those are just to name a few, but I'm just saying that to really emphasize that, man, God is perfect in every single category of who he is. And because he is perfect in all his ways, he is holy. There's a song that really reminds me of God's holiness, and I love it. It's called Only a Holy God by City of Light. And I'm just going to read you kind of the first few stanzas of the song, but bear with me. But it's beautiful because it just talks about his uniqueness, right? It's capturing the uniqueness of God. And so here's some of the lyrics. And it says, "Who else commands all the hosts of heaven? Who else could make every king bow down? Who else can whisper and darkness trembles? Only a holy God. What other beauty demands such praises? What other splendor demands or outshines the sun? What other majesty rules with justice? Only a holy God. What other glory consumes like fire? What other power can raise the dead? What other name remains undefeated? Only a holy God." So again, it just captures the reality of who God is. And there's no one like our God, and only a holy God is capable of being perfect in all of his ways and all of his understanding. And so quick summary. To say God is holy is to say God is infinitely valuable and infinitely unique. And so then if you think about then, okay, if this is God, if God is this unique being and he's perfect in all his ways, then what does it mean for me to be holy as he is holy? What does it mean for me to be infinitely unique as God is unique? So obviously we are not holy, right? But because of what Jesus has done, we have access to God's holiness. Right now in part, but eventually when we are in heaven, We will have full access to his holiness, and we will be like him. And so, yeah, and that's kind of what First Peter is hinting at. It's hinting at the fact that because of the gospel, because of the word of the Lord that was preached to us, we have something to look forward to. Because we have been raised to dead from the grave, we have something to look forward to, and that's salvation. It's all because of what Jesus has done. And so then, so what then does it mean to be holy as he is holy? Well, that's a whole nother conversation. And like I said, I'm not trying to go into a long sermon or anything, but I think one of the key words that we're given, right? Because saying one of the key words that we are given when it says be holy as he is holy is it says as obedient children. And so that's how he really leads that sentence and that statement of being holy. He says, as obedient children, be holy as he is holy. And so what does it mean then for us to be holy? It means, well, for starters, to be obedient. It means to be unique like he is unique. It means to be set apart like he is set apart. And so he has given us commands, truths, and promises to follow, so that we can be not just set apart for the sake of being set apart, but he has given us his word. He has given us commands, truths, and promises to follow and to keep and to abide by, so that we are able to actually reflect his holiness, to reflect his character and who God is. God's given us his word. He's given us the gospel of truth so that we can know him and we can imitate his holiness, just as he is holy. So again, there's a lot more to it than what I'm just saying, but at its very foundation, you really have to boil it down. What does it mean to be holy as he is holy? What does it mean to not conform to the passions of your former ignorance? And what does it mean to be holy in all your conduct? Well, I think for starters, it's about being obedient children of God. And so where does obedience start? It starts with reading God's word. And so I hope that you guys are enjoying the online series so far, and I hope that you guys continue to stay with it. And so I encourage you guys, keep reading and keep diving deep into First Peter with us. All right, God bless.